common question I get asked. If I couldn't own a Look 795 RS blade, what would I have instead? Well, this is something a little bit more mainstream. Let's take a look. So let's get a little bit more forensic with this. What I look for in a road bike as a 45-year-old, 78-kilo rider is one, a really confidence-inspiring road feel. And I love the fit and finish and quality, attention to detail in a bike. And I love the design aesthetic as well. It's something I want to be really proud to ride, something I really enjoy riding at speed. And this personifies it for me. I love the whole horizontal top tube. I love how it looks. I like how all the tubes seem to be in the right proportion for me. That handlebar design is absolutely immaculate. All those titanium bolts, all the gaps are consistent as well. I just think the whole thing just is put together virtually perfectly. And for me, when I'm riding it at the speeds that I'm comfortable with, this absolutely fills me with confidence. But if I had to replace it with something a lot more mainstream, this is what I'd go for. So this is a Scott Foil RC 20. So it doesn't have the fully integrated cockpit, but you can still see the Synchros stem here. The fit and finish around this is actually really beautiful, even down to how they finish the paintwork across this edge here, and how sharp that paint line is beautiful. I like the fact that they've colored this in as well. Makes the whole thing look really integrated. The fit and finish of all these parts is nice. This is a part that normally gets really tatty on this sort of integrated cockpit. And I like the fact that the stem matches the tube profiles as well. It looks like it belongs on the bike, which is a massive plus for me. So this comes with the BB86 bottom bracket standard as well. So it's press fit, love that. Doesn't work so great with the SRAM setup here, which is a bit unfortunate, but you can see what that gives us in terms of shaping this whole bottom bracket area. This chainstay design, I really, really like this and how it sort of tucks the back wheel in. The axles also sit nice and flush, and I like how the rear brake caliper sits neatly in this little triangle. The whole thing I just think looks really, really pretty. Scott are also pretty nice for their integrations as well. So we have little integrated light here, which is pretty nice. This just sort of pops off like this so you can change the batteries. So really nice thing on the Scotts. And of course they have integrated sort of Garmin mounts as well, which all look pretty smart. And of course the bottle cages are all designed to match as well. So all part of the aero design, but more to the point from a design aesthetic, I just think they look like they're part of the bike rather than just sort of plonked on randomly afterwards. Now I know loads of you in the comments are going to ask me, what about time? Well, currently the only road bike, the ADH, isn't really my vibe, and I'm desperately waiting for that Skylon. So this opinion might be completely different in a few weeks' time when we see that Skylon launch. Hashtag free the Skylon. Now, onto the interesting part of this video. This bike is virtually brand new, and it's coming to us because he keeps dropping the chain when he's using the synchro shift system, and he can't figure it out. And the bike shop he brought it from is a bit clueless as well. So he's brought it into us to see if we can fix it. So let's get it in the workshop and see if we can work out what's going on. So here's the problem. The rider is complaining that as they're using the synchro shift, i.e. they're holding the button down and letting the gears change themselves, and the front mech changes automatically to maintain the gear ratios, they're dropping the chain. So a few diagnosis points for this. First thing I want to look for is the chain the actual right length? Then we're going to check for, is the B-limit screw correct? And of course the alignment of the front mech. So a few things I want to check first. Let's get the chain off and check that first. Hold on to both ends, make sure it doesn't spring back. And the way to check these is you need the rear in the biggest and you want the front in the biggest as well. And we're looking for a crossover here of one outer link and one inner link. I'll lay that out for you so you can see. So there's the point it crosses over. We have one inner link, one outer link, and then there. So I am happy that the chain length is correct. It is a little bit rusty. I think the rider has probably washed it and then not put any oil on afterwards. So we are going to put some oil on it before we do too much. Okay, while the chain is off, let's just check the front mech alignment. So there's a few ways you can do that. One is if you're buying it brand new, you should have had a tool like this, which does most of the job for you. This is the front mech alignment tool. The other way is that there are enough marks on the front mech. So on the top here, there's a little line, and on the back, on the more advanced sort of Force and Red, it's actually a plastic part here, and there's a white line marked on. For Rival, you just use the bend in the metal, if you like, and you're trying to line these lines up with the actual chain rings. Now I can already see straight away that doesn't look very lined up to me. The other thing I want to check is that the actual wedge has been installed at the back. This is a really common thing from factories. People just don't install them, but that has actually been installed. So those are the two lines for the horizontal alignment, but what about the vertical? Well, SRAM thought of that as well, and it's really hard to see on this, but there is this little mark just here embossed into the metal, and this is a line that the top of the chainring should fit in that mark there. So you probably get about 1.5 millimeters of tolerance there to play with. So all that means that if you don't have this tool, you've got plenty of options there to help you line it up as well. And straight away I can see this is pretty badly aligned. So let's just sort this out. So this is how you line this tool up. This little wedge here butts right up against here. This wedge is in here. This means we can get the whole thing on. And this just slots over so everything just lines up absolutely perfectly. Makes it an absolute doddle.
Yes, just that.
Okay, so front mech looking good. We've got the clearance, happy with that. And also while we've got the chain off, bottom bracket test. Nice one, Scott, well done. Okay, chain back on. Let's have a look at the rest of our alignment issues. Let's just watch it as it comes through. Get it up to the top here. Give it a pull. So the next thing I want to check is this B-limit screw here. Now, SRAM have got very specific requirements in terms of what derailleur and cassette combination and how you set this B-limit screw. So what you need to do is go onto the SRAM website, find the manual, and there's a little table that says, depending on the max capacity of the rear mech and the size cassette that you're running, you need a certain gap. Now, so SRAM Rival max capacity is 36, and this is a 10 through the 28 cassette. So the gap that we're looking for is 12 millimeters. So you use one of these tools here, and this is set up for two sides. There's the Explore side and the max 33 or 36. So how this works is we put the max 36 side onto the jockey wheel, and you come in from the back like this, and what we're looking for is the gap between these two teeth here. So right now you can see this is set more like 8 millimeters rather than 12. So we're going to use the B-limit screw here to open it up ever so slightly. My favorite tool for this, by the way, this is the Weira hex driver. These come in a 2, 2.5 and a 3 millimeter. Absolutely perfect for adjusting derailleurs. The last thing I want to check then is the high limit screw on the front. So for that I need to change gear. Now this particular rider has got their gear set up completely goofy. So they've actually got the right hand side set up to make it easier, and then the left hand side weirdly makes it into a harder gear. Ooh, there we go. Let's throw in the chain. Let's just save that, and then we can see, let's just stop that so you can hear me talk, is that we have all this extra movement. Let's tighten this up, and we're just looking so that in this gear only just doesn't touch. So it's like 0.5 millimeter of clearance is all you need. Right, I think it's time for some chain lube, and let's give this a proper testing. This is our chain lube of choice. This is the Juice Lubes no nonsense chain lubes. This is ceramic version. Now, whenever you're working with ceramic chain lubes, you do get some separations. If you haven't used it for a little while, make sure you give the bottle a really good shake. Now, I like these because they come in a sort of semi-translucent bottle, so you can see if you've got some separation, whereas like most of them come in a black bottle, so you can't see. We pretty much use this for everything. And I know that loads of you are going to be wincing because I'm not putting one drop on every single limb, but who's got time for that in their life? The important thing is just spin things slowly, let it all soak in. And the important thing with all chain lubes is wipe off the excess, give it a few seconds and then just wipe. And what you'll find with ceramic lubes is that even if you ride it, you might see it come back a little bit black after you ride. If you just wipe it at the end of the ride, it should come back clean straight away. It doesn't really hold on to all the muck. Oh no. Well, we still have a problem, so let's get a little bit more forensic with this. Now, I'm 100% happy with the alignment of the rear mechs, and I'm happy with the chain line as well. So another problem might be that we have a stiff link or a damaged link on the chain, or we have a damaged chain ring. So let's get it off and take a really, really close look. So what I'm looking for here is any particular stiff link. So if something's got rusted or corroded, you'll find that one link doesn't work. And also, as I'm going through and checking, you'll see if there's any damage done to the outer or inner links. So just making sure that all of these are moving freely. That one's a bit sticky. See if we can free that up a little bit. So generally good condition, a few stiff links in there. I couldn't see any sort of real damage. So what I'm going to be looking for is any sort of bent teeth, or is any sort of chipping or damage. So I'm going to run my fingernail across these links and see if I can feel anything like burrs. And what I'm checking for here is to see if the chainring is warped. So I'm just trying to line up the chainring with one of these inner cages, just see if there's a change in the distance to see if this outer ring has been warped at all. Okay, that looks okay. So the last thing I want to check is just going to take this chainring off and just see if there's any spacers behind there that should or shouldn't be there. So let's just pull this off. So we have one 3mm spacer here. Just going to take a quick look at the chart. Okay, it's always worth checking the chart because there are so many charts and things to remember, but this is absolutely fine. 3mm on the outer right spacer is absolutely fine, so it's always worth double checking. So let's get that click back into place. Make sure it's sitting nice and flush. That could have been a reason as well if it's not sitting flush. Remember, these ones actually sort of click into the bottom bracket. Right, I think what I'm going to do just before I put the chain back on is just manually adjust this. To my eye, it doesn't look like these lines are perfectly lined up, even though we use that tool. So I am just going to make sure we don't affect the height, but just allow this to come in ever so slightly until I feel a bit more confident that those lines are lined up. Now I've gone through this chain and I'm very happy with it. There's a couple of stiff links, but make sure that the SRAM rival logo is facing out. Looks like we've got it. Cool, I think we are there. I'm gonna go and test ride it once all the ice is cleared, if that actually happens at all. But I think that was a combination of a couple of stiff links in the chain, just a result of corrosion, and a slight misalignment of the front mech. But sometimes you just gotta go back to the instructions and check and check and check and check and check. Be meticulous, and you'll get there in the end. Right, I do hope you enjoyed this video. A slightly two-tone video, a look at a bike that I really like and admire, and also a bit of troubleshooting as well. If you like this sort of content, please think about subscribing to the channel, give it a thumbs up, tell your friends. We'll see you on the next one.